Does anybody have any thoughts or cares?
I lost that was
Bicycle
I
service station.
pretended.
No, Watterson's only comment is, can we add solar panels? We're not talking about solar panels.
Charging for electric bikes yet?
Yes, we need that. Does anybody have any?
Bicycle service station. Tenino bicycle service station.
Anything else? Audience?
We got a price. We got a price. Secret one.
So
Put it in the paper,
is.
put it out for bid, for
Yeah.
the public to name it.
Then it'll be like that boat, the Bodie McBoat face.
Or we'll have a whole room full of people complaining.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, they're gonna complain anyways.
yeah. Does the bicycle plaza work?
Yeah, that's.
Okay. Like, do we need to do that by resolution or
No.
ordinance or like carve it in stone? Okay, do we need a vote? We can't do one now. I still can't get on my computer. Okay, next up, it says Timberland Regional Library. Is that, but I think that's on the agenda later, right? Why is it?
That was one of the last things.
If you guys wanna take action on something.
Okay, no, let's just, Linda, you wanna go ahead? So, before we do that, so, last Friday, the mediation was scheduled at the same time as the meeting with Fish and Wildlife about the Barnett property. So I couldn't be in two places at once, so Linda stepped up to represent us at the mediation, and I went to the Fish and Wildlife meeting, so Linda has.
And I would rather have gone to the Fish and Wildlife meeting. Well, mediation is a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I've never done that before. But we came up with just a few questions. Nothing was decided. I took the city's offer to them for them doing the janitorial work at the library. They're really not too interested in doing that. And I was, what would a good fair price be?
I've talked with John about it before, and I've talked to Rebecca, my other half. $500 is fair. You know, they're doing 6, so if they pay the 500, we make up the difference. That's more than fair.
If we pay the 500, they make up the difference.
Yeah,
We're offering them the 500.
Yeah.
Well,
that's more than fair.
That is what I offered, whether or not, they don't wanna do it. I'll tell you that right now, so we're gonna have to go into negotiations.
Now the reason that $600, 5 on our and 1 on theirs is a fair price is because that should not take one person more than a half an hour. We're talking twice a day, okay?
Twice a week.
Twice a week. So you're looking at an hour, at worst, an hour and a half of somebody's actual time being there. If they
And
want-
that's vacuuming the whole place?
Yeah.
And doing both bathrooms?
Yeah.
And do they do the lunchroom too?
No, usually not.
Just,
And the
just
reason that they don't do the lunchroom is because they're supposed to clean up after themselves. They don't food.
This is where we get into issues,
yeah, this is where the
is
issues.
the expectations aren't, you know, we make it clear what our standard is, and, you know, we have the expectations ironed out when we meet with their management, but then the expectations aren't necessarily clarified to their staff,
Yeah.
and then it's not then continually told to the staff, no, the expectations are being met, because we don't, it's the upper management and their administration, you know, they say we're doing fine, you know,
Yeah.
we're responsive, you know, we've done well, we agree on something, but the breakdown of communication happens on their end, on the ground, where we can't go in and say, no, you know, we did a good enough, you know, this is fine, because it's not our place.
Well, what Rebecca and I do as far as break rooms, if they want us to clean a break room, it's gonna cost them a whole lot more, because the break room is usually the filthiest room in the building. And they do it all the time, and you're looking at 2 days, so
Yeah.
you've got that break.
Yeah, and the problem with us is we say, you know, hey, this is the standard right here, and then they say, well, we want the brake room done too. We don't have the ability to say, okay, well, that's gonna cost you extra.
We'll see.
We can't do that because we're not in the janitorial business. So where do we draw the line?
Yeah, what I'm hearing on the outside is that a new contract needs to be done. Once you can get them to say, okay.
They won't do that.
No, I just stick to what we have.
Yeah.
And the break rooms are never part of it without that, without
No,
extra
they're
cost.
not even in for the state, they don't even do break rooms.
Yeah.
They don't do lunchrooms and
No,
things.
because they cost too much. You're not talking a little bit of extra money, you're talking a lot of extra money. So, not trying to make anything, but basically we're going to pay. You know, we don't clean out the, that's one thing that we refuse to do, we will not clean out the
Refrigerators and
refrigerator.
things. No, I don't think there's any janitorial service that would unless they charge a lot.
Yeah, we've done it a couple times and they decided they'll clean out their home.
And that was our hope, is that we would say, okay, we're paying out, you know, and we estimated it was like $300 a month, that we're paying our people to clean. And then we said, okay, we'll give you as much as $500 a month to do the same cleaning job. That's what we estimate the same cleaning job would get done at. And you find a private company, that way anything beyond whatever the established standard is, anything beyond that is gonna be on you.
And actually,
See, they don't use a private company. They're using
Their staff.
their staff that they use in their buildings.
see, if they're using their staff.
Timberland owns several of the buildings that
Yeah.
have libraries.
And so they're saying to have their staff come down here
Right.
is like $800 a month.
Are
And they want us to
sending
pay.
Are they sending somebody
Yes,
down here
yes.
at $800 a month?
Yeah.
That's actually very much windshield time.
It's actually 623.27.
But it's their staff.
It's what it's caught, that's what they say they spent, $623.
That's actually fair. But what you're saying at $300, no, we're not paying that, we're paying closer to the $600 when we have our own staff here. The only difference is we don't have windshield time. But when you actually look at exactly what you're paying them, with all the time and
Benefits.
benefits and yada, 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 blah, 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 you're back up to that 600, 650.
Yeah.
So does everybody here think $500 we're offering them that is good?
Yeah. Because even at that, the 650, I'm being a little bit generous on our end. 500 is probably, we don't have windshield time and all that kind of stuff. The windshield time is what saves us from that extra, should say little, because some of the dollars of it isn't little, but.
It's just amazing to me that would make that big a difference.
Yeah, and-
They're probably stationed in Tumwater, and they've gotta come 15 miles down the road.
And I don't know if we, wanna get into hiring some service, like on our end, signing a contract with some service, because then the police department's gonna expect it, and then city hall's gonna expect
Then
it.
we'll have two people complaining. The service will be complaining to us and the library will
Yeah.
be complaining.
Yeah.
The service isn't doing what they
Yeah,
do.
I just don't,
Yeah,
So it's just gonna add to the
well,
problem.
it's, I thought, well, when I talked to them
No.
about that, then I thought about that after.
and we would probably have to pay prevailing wage, and
You
it
definitely would.
Yeah.
Well, prevailing wage on janitorial in Thurston County is not that bad.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit above minimum wage, literally. That's why we don't do government work. Now, if you go up north,
Exactly, that's all.
prevailing wage is something like starting.
Dave
$45
Watterson
an hour.
awarded the contract.
Is
Is there like a little velociraptor out there making noises in the crowd?
That'd be my kid.
All right, so we have Thorny here to get sworn in.
Mayor?
But I don't have this, you have a copy of this.
Okay. You want to introduce yourself and your family while he pulls up the oath? Come on, Chief can come up and introduce you, and then you can introduce your family if you'd like, or you just ignore them.
I won't forget you this time.
Yeah, don't forget me this time, okay?
So everyone, that's my wife, Gloria, and then that's our 6-month-old son, Oliver Maxwell. That's the raptor thing that's back there. Father-in-law and mother-in-law.
Hello.
Hey, you got me this
I
time.
remember this time.
Welcome to the great city of Tenino.
So, Officer Thornburg comes to us.
Can you turn the speaker on?
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah.
The mic.
Speak into it.
You're soft talking,
Good
chief.
good evening, council and Mr. Mayor, Robert Swain, your police chief. I'm proud to introduce Robert Thornburg to you. He comes to us with 8 years' experience, was a school resource officer for several years in the tiny city of Cripple Creek, Colorado. And he worked for Tumwater Police for a little while and decided that he wanted to stay in police work, and just fortunate enough that he sought us out, and we recruited him, and he's here going through his field training right now. And Robert comes very highly recommended by a police chief in Colorado that I've been friends with for over 30 years. So we're happy to have him. So I'm proud to introduce Robert Thornburg to you.
You gotta give a speech. So.
Oh, boy. So where do I start, chief?
Wherever.
Okay.
Just talk about yourself a little bit and,
I'm good at that. Well, thank you, sir. Like I said, Chief said 8 years of experience, 3 years of it was a school resource officer. And my last year there, I got the opportunity to coach the junior high baseball team. And I think I was more tired than the kids were, because I was more excited, yelling and screaming at them when they're just looking at me like, who's this crazy guy yelling at me? So I actually had a lot more fun doing that than I think they did. And then prior to that, worked for the sheriff's office in Colorado, and here I am. And my family is, or my fiance is, my wife actually is from Tacoma, so that's what brought us to Washington. So that's why we're out here.
Welcome.
Yeah, and then the
Well, now
short.
you're in a good part of Washington.
Yes, I do like it down here. We live up north a little bit, so it's not too far of a drive, but I do like this part of the state. More of my people, if you want to put it that way. For the short time I've been here, I've really grown to like the community and what it has opportunities and for growth and stuff of that nature. So it makes me feel like I'm at home, if you want to put it that way, because like Chief Swain mentioned, Cripple Creek is not much different in size. It has a bunch of casinos, but that's the only difference. Just a small town that has a lot of values to it, so I look forward to being here.
All right. We're gonna swear you in now. You ready?
Do you ever remember the show shit?
Oh, so you're the one.
I, Robert D. Thornburg,
I, Robert D. Thornburg.
do solemnly swear or affirm.
Follow.
He's not passing the test. I, Robert D. Thornburg,
I, Robert D. Thornburg.
do solemnly swear or affirm.
I solemnly do swear or affirm.
Let's do that again. I, Robert D. Thornburg, you got your name right. I'm proud of you.
I, Robert D.
Fill in the
Thornburg.
blank.
Do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
Good enough. Or affirm
or affirm
that I will
that I will
support
support
the Constitution of
the Constitution of
the United States,
the United States,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Washington,
of the State of Washington,
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
and regulations of
and regulations of
the City of Tenino,
the City of Tenino,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially perform
and impartially perform
and discharge the duties of
and discharge the duties of
Office of Police Officer
the Office of Police Officer
according to law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and best of my ability.
Good job.
Thanks.
You got the-
Third time's a charm.
Now look at this, this little one. He's precious, his name's all.
One over here. man.
Come by and
Yeah, go by and shake all their hands.
This is
Thank you. Thank you.
It's just good luck.
We'll have a lot of fun on that. Well, thank you.
there's Papa.
Yeah.
There she is, she's taking pictures still.
all right, that brings us to report.
Officer,
Report.
I'm Commissioner Lester Lamb, Civil Service.
All right, my turn now?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, all right, so, good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Jenny Folia-Jones, Communications, Marketing, and Outreach Manager for the Port of Olympia. I also serve as Foreign Trade Zone 216's Administrator. So This evening, I am going to discuss with you what a foreign trade zone is, why they were established, talk about the benefits that a community can see from having a zone in their community, what some of the advantages are for the businesses that utilize the zone, a little bit about our local zone here, which is Foreign Trade Zone 216, and then also talk to you about kind of the different structures and what structure our zone 216 is under. So I should also say thank you for the invite to talk to you about Foreign Trade Zone 216. We have been established as a foreign trade zone since 1994, our zone here. So what is a foreign trade zone? A foreign trade zone is a program that was created by the federal government in the 1930s. It is still going strong today, and I'll talk to you a little bit about why it's actually been a lot more beneficial in the last year or so. But basically what happened is the 1930s, we had, the U.S. had just completed World War I, and it was in the midst of the Great Depression. Okay, and so basically what was happening is there was a lot of trade that was going overseas, a lot of jobs that were being sent overseas, and we were losing jobs on U.S. soil. So the purpose of the zone was set up to create this competitiveness for the U.S.-based companies. And it is, and I will go give you some examples that hopefully make this a little clearer, but basically it is a boundary that's placed over a facility. So it could be a warehouse, it could be an entire industrial campus if everything within that campus is utilizing the zone. That is this, invisible boundary line that gets placed around it, and then it is considered outside of U.S. commerce. So nothing actually hits U.S. commerce until it exits that zone. Okay, so I'll have some examples that hopefully will make that a little clearer for you as we go through the presentation. So again, this was to kind of create that level playing field for us. I should mention that in order to utilize the foreign trade zone, there has to be an import aspect. So a company has to be importing some sort of a good. So that is like requirement number one. And then beyond that, basically it can create this stronger economy. So by creating the level playing field, getting the jobs back on U.S. soil, strengthens the economy. So definitely during the Great Depression, that was kind of why this was established. It is a program that is, it's a federal program that is overseen by the U.S. Department of Commerce. It also helps retain technology. So rather than having technology go overseas as well, with those jobs, it helped the U.S. maintain the technology here with the jobs and to not put us at a greater disadvantage by having the technology and the jobs go. So some of the community benefits. So basically these are still true today, but this is what what it was established for here is you have a business that will locate in your community or a business that wants to utilize the zone. What you're going to see is a great financial savings for that business, and then that in turn allows them to expand their business operations potentially, which creates more jobs, indirect jobs. If a company is locating to your community, obviously you're going to see more jobs and indirect jobs because of that company then moving in. It is a site selection tool that can be used in many cases. So if there's an organization that is understands, especially there's a lot of companies that are on the national level that understand the benefits that a zone can give them. They are going to look for only communities to put their warehouse or their distribution centers and those sort of things. They're going to be looking for only the communities that actually have zone ability for them. And so that kind of puts us at a higher playing field than maybe some of our neighbors that don't have zone ability. It does improve infrastructure, or has the ability to improve infrastructure. If you have a company that's locating into your community, you can see obviously they will be doing investments, right? So they will be investing in their facilities. We have a story that one of our users actually, with the costs or with the finances that they were saving from being in the zone in Lacey, actually expanded their facility, created a whole new warehouse. More infrastructure went in there. And then of course with businesses coming online and moving into your community, that's just going to expand your tax base as well. So some of the benefits that a company can see from utilizing the zone, and this is by no means the full list. These are just some of the 10 most common ways that businesses can utilize this. So again, they're importing a good, okay? So let's say the first one is elimination of duty. So let's say that there's a company that's importing a good that goes into the zone. Again, it has not entered U.S. commerce, and there is this. I get questions all the time about, well, it comes in via, a port, which for us we are the port of entry. It does not have to come through our port. It can come through Seattle. It can come through Tacoma. It's still because a lot of the businesses might be containerized business, which is not something that the Port of Olympia does. It could come in by air even. It is not. That doesn't mean that it has to cross our docks or come into our local airport here to be under our foreign trade zone. It depends on where the ending facility is for it once it leaves that port of entry, where the goods are actually coming in. So it has to come into to the facility within our zone boundaries. Okay, so if it crosses, let's say Seattle, when it's in transit, even if it's on the road in that container on the back of a truck, it is still not within U.S. commerce, okay? So it comes in the facility, and let's say that it has a duty on the good that is 5% duty, yet it's gonna get manufactured into something that has a 0% duty as the end product. When it leaves the zone, it's leaving as the end product, not the part that it came in on, or as, and so then it's 0 duty when it actually hits U.S. commerce. A little bit easier way to define that under inverted duty is you get to pick and choose which duty rate you actually want to use. So for instance on this, let's say, let me see here. Let's say for instance we have a cell phone. And when you buy a cell phone, it comes in a nice little box, and it's got the cell phone, it's got the battery, if it has a battery, it's got headphones in it, it's got all the parts that go with it, right? So you have this kit, basically. Well, let's say that all these parts are actually being imported. So your headphones are getting imported. I don't know how many cell phones have actual batteries anymore, but let's say that there's a battery in there. Battery has a really high duty rate, okay? And so let's say that a battery, and I don't know the exact duty rate, but let's say that it's like an 8% duty on a battery. So you import those batteries into the zone, and then you put it together in a box. So it's called kitting, right? So you kit everything together, and then when it leaves the zone as a cell phones are a 0% duty. So you as a company get to choose. Do you want to pay 8% battery? Do you want to pay maybe 3% on headphones? Or do you want to pay 0% as a cell phone on the end? And so most people would choose 0%, right? So that's how you can do an elimination of a duty altogether, or you can do an invert. So if the cell phone actually was a 2% duty, you could choose 8% and 3% for the goods in the box, and you would be paying both of those, or you could select 2% on the final product when it actually hits U.S. commerce. Most people would select 2%. Does that make sense? If you guys have questions as I go through, please stop me. Re-export, so this is where there's a lot of savings. So we have some companies that are actually utilizing the zone that they bring goods in, they keep some of it for U.S. market, but they re-export some of it as well. And so the re-exported materials never hit U.S. commerce. I have these companies listed out, but I'll just talk about them now. So Callison's, IP Callison's, which is the mint manufacturing company they have a facility in Chehalis and in Lacey. They utilize our zone for both of their locations, and so this is a really good example for them because they bring in all of the raw materials, they make the mint flavoring, and then they re-export a good portion of their stuff back out to foreign markets as that flavor that then gets flavored into Wrigley's, Colgate, you name it. If it's mint flavored, it's most likely being manufactured here locally. And so that mint flavoring is going back out as a re-export, which never hits U.S. commerce, which means there is absolutely no duty paid on that as well. So that portion of their business, they have cost savings on. And then savings on duty for product damage, defect, waste, and scrap. So if you're not within a zone and something comes in, you're paying the duty on it as soon as it comes off the ship or off the plane, right? If something's broken, damaged, if you have to scrap something, you're still paying the duty on that. Within the zone, you don't have to, because it never hits you as commerce for sale, right, for retail. So you get to scrap all of that and not pay the duty on it, so there's cost savings there too. Duty savings on value added cost of goods, so I like to use the example of a car for this one. So when you go buy a new car, you get to pick all of the bells and whistles that you want on that car, right? So a lot of, I should say most all, car manufacturers operate within zones here in the US. So if I want to go buy my Toyota, okay, so Toyota is going to be an import, I say, yeah, I want to have an upgraded stereo system, I want to have heated seats, you know, things like that that are all going to be coming in on as an import. They can all be put on as value added goods within that zone, so that when it leaves, it's just a car. It's not a car with heated seats with a stereo, and you're not paying all of those duty rates then tacked onto them. Duty deferral, this is storage of parts. This is a big one for warehousing. So right now, what month is it? I mean, we're already seeing Halloween on the shelves, right? But I guarantee that some of our warehouses already are fully stocked with their holiday goods for Christmas. They might even be starting to gear up for like Easter, yeah, Valentine's Day, all of that stuff, right? So rather than having the company have to pay the duty on something as soon as it comes in, what's happening is they can take it into their facility, they can store it, and then they pay the duty on it when it leaves to go onto the shelves to be sold. So you get to defer all that duty until you actually are going to start seeing a profit from it. So it's a huge cost savings on that. Well, I shouldn't say cost savings, but it's an upfront cost savings for them, right? Quality control zones are under a higher regulation. They are, customs regulates the facilities, so they are doing spot checks on them. They do require inventory systems that are a little more robust, so there is much higher quality control as far as their goods that are crossing, you know, over, their damage, that kind of stuff. You're going to find less errors, I should say, potentially than some other companies. Operational efficiencies, direct delivery, there is no wait time. So ports are busy. If I have a container coming in at Port of Seattle, it's a busy port. That port is going to most likely sit, and my container is going to sit and wait to get customs checked. If I'm in a zone, I get direct delivery, which means it gets put on a truck right away and gets sent to the facility, because customs checks everything at the facility. So you don't have to wait for your goods. Sometimes up to a week, things can sit on the docks waiting to get released from the port. Administrative savings and savings on merchandise, this goes into kind of the same thing. This is absolutely huge, where warehouse distributions can see millions of dollars of savings annually. And so this is their merchandise processing fee. For every, I think the rate is like $464 for every truck that comes in. So every truck that comes in, there's a merchandise processing fee that it's capped, right? So the US has put this cap on it saying, Target Distribution Center, how many trucks a day come into Target? I don't even know, hundreds, right? But they pay probably $464 on every single truck that comes into their facility. With this, what you do is you take all of your weekly deliveries, and then at the end you pay one fee, which is capped at $464. So you just saved, you know, even if you had 100 trucks a day coming in times 7 days, you're only paying $464 as opposed to 464 times 700, I don't know what that is. But anyway, so it's a huge, huge, huge savings on the distribution center side of things. Any questions on any of those? Okay. So Foreign Trade Zone 216, we have 9 designated jurisdictions that make up Foreign Trade Zone 216. And now, you don't see your name on the list, and that's okay because we have you covered. And so, in 1994, the Port of Olympia took the initiative to set up Foreign Trade Zone 216. But it was very expensive to set up, right? So we reached out to some of our local partners that mostly had industrial parks, because that's where you're going to find a lot of the companies that are going to utilize this. They're going to reside in those industrial parks. Not always, but often. And so what we did is we went out and we said, hey, do you want to help share the cost of setting this up, and then you get to benefit from it? At that time when we set it up, our boundaries, where the zone could be set up was restricted to only those locations. So Port of Olympia had to designate how many acres we wanted to have within the zone. City of Lacey had their Meridian Campus Industrial Park, how many acres they wanted there, and so on. And so the other thing that we did is we kind of became this trailblazer for how zone structures are now. Is we are a 4-county zone. So Port of Olympia has jurisdiction because we've been granted authority by the U.S. Department of Commerce, but also by the jurisdictions within those 4 counties to oversee their zone. So we provide the zone for Thurston County. All of Thurston County is encompassed in the zone. We have Mason County, everything but obviously the national park. Kitsap County, we go up, it's hard to see, I think, on this map where the blue boundary lines go. The green lines, I don't know if you can see them on the green like hash marks kind of halfway through Kitsap is where our zone stops. And then we have a good portion of Lewis County. You can see the right side of Lewis County we don't have on your screen there. But that doesn't mean that if there's a zone if someone wants to set up a zone within that kind of outreach area, there's not another zone that encompasses that. We are the closest zone. They're just going to be paying a higher rate in order to get into our zone. So we make up all the entities that you see here make up the policy group. So we get together, we make decisions on the budget for the zone, we make decisions on basically if we're okay with some of the businesses that are coming into the zone. Everyone's been okay with everybody so far. So just because, like I said, you're not on there, we encompass all of Thurston County. So if anyone in Tenino wanted to utilize the zone or had questions about the zone, I definitely can talk with them. We also do a kind of a pre-meeting if it looks like it's going to be something that is actually going to work for them. The policy group has allocated funds to have our attorney who oversees foreign trade zones all across the nation have a one-on-one conversation with them to really ask those questions, to kind of say, yeah, this makes sense for you to further pursue, or no, I really don't see this working for you. And so we do have that ability if you have a company that is looking for it, but this company definitely would have the ability to set up a zone if it worked for them. So our zone structure, we are under alternative site framework. We switched to this in 2010. We used to be under the conventional. Remember I said you used to have strict boundaries. Then when we went to alternate site framework, it opened up that entire area. So from our docks, even though the goods don't have to cross our docks to come in, again, confusing, but our dock is actually the point of entry per the U.S. Commerce care as far as our distances that we can go. So from the Port of Olympia's docks, we can go 60 miles or 90 minutes driving time. So that's why you see us not being able to reach all the way throughout Lewis County and all the way throughout Kitsap, because that's where we stop at those marks. So whichever is greater, 60 miles or 90 minutes. 90 minutes is probably where we're going to cap in the traffic issues we have now. But so that's why you see the boundary lines there. But it did expand our boundaries. It gave faster activations. So the activations, they say if a company is ready to go forward with their application, it's about 30 days. We are having zones actually activated within 4 days, so they can start operating. And then manufacturing permit process. So Callison's, like I said, they actually are doing manufacturing in the zone. They're creating their flavoring within the zone. And so that is something that typically used to take about 18 months to get approved. That is now happening within 6-month guarantee for that permit process. However, most often it happens within 30 days.
I have a question before I forget.
Yeah.
So you said they have to import stuff. Is there a percentage of the product? So if they just
No.
use 1% of their import,
No.
is that?
No, they have to have some sort of an import good for it to make sense, because it's really a duty program, a duty deferral, duty. You gotta have a duty on it.
So
So
they
if it's
have more
U.S. good,
savings.
you're not gonna have it. Yeah. So you want to make sure that there's that duty there. So what we say is it has to be either a high value or high quantity. Okay. So and I'll explain to you kind of how that works with some of our users here. High value, you don't have to be importing as much for it to make sense for you. About $120,000 a year savings is what we try to see for the customer, for the zone to actually make sense. Is you wanna see $120,000 savings, and you wanna have your return on investment about 2 years. So, return on investment, you're gonna have consultant fees to set up your application. You're gonna have possibly a higher inventory system fee, right, to get a more robust inventory system if you don't already have one. And then security as well. It is a secured facility that has regulated by customs and stuff, so there has to be some security measures in place. So if you don't already have it, then that could be a cost. So we want you to see that return on investment in about 2 years. So we actually have 4 users, but 5 sites set up because Callison's has 2. So Bordeaux wine locators, they're located in Tumwater. They are a high value item. They are importing foreign wines, and they are very expensive wines. And I don't know if you can see on your screen, the sticker that's right below their label is actually the sticker that is placed on their bottle within the zone. So they import through the zone only so that they can put that sticker on before it hits US commerce. And this is an FDA rule. So if it were to come across the dock and they didn't have that sticker on, they'd be in violation, and customs would come down hard on them. The stickers, if they were to have that stickered over on the other side, they tried it, it wasn't happening. There was no one to kind of regulate how the stickers were placed, and there's a very specific way that the stickers have to be placed in order for FDA to be okay with it. And so that is all they do in the zone, is place that sticker on. Okay, but their goods are high enough value, and they wouldn't be able to really import stuff if they didn't have the zone. Okay, so it's working for them. Dairy Gold, they are out in Chehalis. This is kind of a fun story. They actually don't operate right now. They're still an active user, but not actively using the site. They're listed on the U.S. Department of Commerce's site because they are still registered as active, but they're not actually processing the goods through the site right now. However, in the late 90s, Dairy Gold was on the verge of shutting down. And so if any of you remember this, they were about to lose all those jobs. And so what happened is they looked to say, how can we help save the facility? How can we help save all the jobs here? What they did is they found a whey product that was, at that time, Canada, it was not a free trade at that time. And so this whey product was coming in. They were able to import under the foreign trade zone the whey product, add it in and make it, and then re-export it out to third world countries as a powdered milk. Okay, so that right there saved the facility in Chehalis. So they haven't had to do anything under foreign trade zone for a while. They stopped that whey product under the zone a while ago, but they still maintain their active status if they had something else that they wanted to move through it. So that is a nice story to say, like, it can help save companies and keep the jobs too, right? IP Callison, like I said, they are importing all of their menthol, which you can kind of see in the jars here. They bring that in, they do the manufacturing to create the flavors, and that, have any of you taken a tour of their facility at all?
I've been in the Lacey one,
Yeah, you should. If you haven't, it's great, and it smells amazing. And so they have both locations, Lacey and Chehalis. Most of the goods enter into one or the other. The manufacturing is all happening out in Lacey, but the storage aspect of it happens also in Chehalis. So they have both sites under the zone because they're seeing benefits in both. And I should have set off that list of 10. You don't have to have just one. You can have just one benefit if it makes enough sense for your company, but you can, if 5 of those things work for you, then you're saving even more because you're able to use as many things as you can. And that's where your consultants come in. The consultants are going to be able to really dig into the business and figure out all the different ways that you can save dollars. Michael's Distribution Center is our newest one to come online. So they are in Centralia, and so they're using it for that merchandise processing fee, duty deferral. So they're seeing multiple benefits. IP Callison's for sure is seeing a number of benefits on theirs because they're doing the re-export, the duty deferral, the inverted duty as well. So there's all sorts of benefits that they're seeing. It's a confusing program, and so I don't expect you to understand it all. So please let me know if you have any questions.
So does each jurisdiction manage their own, or who promotes these foreign trade zones?
Sure. So the Port of Olympia is the grantee, so we actually hold the authority under the U.S. Department of Commerce. That policy group really is kind of our PR, right? So those people that sit on there, they go out to their communities as when they are, most of them are like economic development people and that kind of stuff that we have sitting on the policy group. So when they're talking to businesses that want to come in, or when they have a business that they think, you know, you guys have been operating here for a while, have you thought about checking into the zone to see if it actually makes sense for you? Which is how Callison's worked, right? Callison's been operating here forever. They just came online, I think, in 2011, 2012, finally, because they saw the benefits of it. And so we do the promotion of it, but it is, and this is where you're gonna find in many communities, it's not necessarily one of the top things that we're obviously promoting, right? However, it could have great benefits, and so dedicating more staff time and promotion to it is something that I think every community probably wants to do. So you wouldn't manage it, it's just a tool in your toolbox that we provide, the Port of Olympia provides for you. And so if you have anybody that as you're looking, if they're looking to locate here, or if they're already here and you think this might be a benefit, then reach out to us as the port. I'm the contact, I'm the one that normally has the communication with the business, just kind of do that first vetting. And then, like I said, we'll hook them up with the attorney consultant to make sure that they are digging in a little bit deeper. And that's when he will say, yeah, you should go hire a consultant because I think this is gonna make, you know, a lot of sense for your business. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna tell you it's not gonna work. Okay, 9 times out of 10, companies think that they can have this cost savings, not necessarily gonna work. However, with that being said, the last year, tariffs, what's happening with tariffs on the national level have increased people's interest in zones, and the fact that it makes sense for a lot more companies that it didn't previously make sense for, because they can, it can help them with the tariffs that are going on right now. Any other questions? Put you all to sleep?
Okay. If I'm hearing this right, the foreign trade zone for our ag park at this point really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for anybody.
It depends on, well, is there imported products, I guess is the question. There would need to be an import, something imported into it, so,
Or export.
well, it needs to have an import first.
Okay.
The re-export is,
Okay,
but
we
if
can-
there's an import side of it, yeah.
We can import things out of those kinds of.
It's gotta be enough though to make sense financially.
But,
Yeah.
This is good to know about, because we don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, you never know what could be coming in, what might be done as far as, I wanna call it manufacturing, because it's not gonna be manufacturing out there, but if there are some sort of, like Dairygold used it, if there's a product that they're doing and then they're
like
doing something to
you're talking about whey,
manipulating it in some way to make it,
turning whey into powdered milk.
yeah, something like that, then there could be a benefit for it. But you have businesses out here that it might be beneficial for too. You know, and I don't know your businesses, you might, as you come across them, if you think, like, if they're importing goods, and they're doing something to it, manufacturing, putting kits together, they're doing something to manipulate those goods in some way, or they're storing those goods for a length of time, probably greater than 2 to 3 months. If they're storing it before it's leaving, then that's something that it might be a benefit to them.
It's just been a very long time since I've looked at the foreign trade zone, that's why I asked the mayor to have you guys come out here.
Yeah.
I was, for some reason, I had in my mind that if we just exported stuff, I didn't understand the import first part.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
If I could make a comment too on it, as we see more and more development moving south out of Pierce and King County, those big warehouses that are happening, there's more opportunity for import and export to come from the north down to the south, and therefore warehouses such as you're seeing happen with Michael's and that type of thing, there's more opportunity there, and it's just a toolbox item that you can offer a company looking to relocate to less expensive land and still doing their import-export. It's just another tool that they can take advantage of for doing it.
Certainly that Port of Tacoma land.
Yeah,
Amazon.
people can't afford it.
Are there any marker characteristics that would help us, screen businesses that might be good candidates for these zones?
Yeah, I mean, obviously importing, right? If they're importing something, if it's of high value or if it's of high quantity. And those are kind of, I think, the three just real easy things that you could be looking for. And then as they, if you run across those companies that you say you've got a high value import or you've got a high quantity import, have you thought about this? And it's just a matter of a phone call. I ask a few questions of the company to see if it's even, makes sense for them to have that then follow-up phone call with our consultant. Here's the thing is typically what I find is companies, I'll ask them some questions about their finances. How much are, your annual profits? How much are you importing? What's the value on that? A lot of times companies will give me just numbers, right? Just throw out numbers. And then as soon as I do some calculations for them and I say, well, it looks like you could actually save this much, then they'll say, hold on, here's my real numbers. So they don't want to disclose, and I get that, like companies don't necessarily want to disclose their profits and all of that until they realize that, oh, this actually might make sense. And so we do have a form, and if you we have a website, so ftz216.com, so it's, you can link through the ports page, but we have a standalone website, so ftz216.com. There's a calculator on there. You can always send someone to that calculator and they can put their own numbers in and then see if it makes sense. And if it makes sense, then they can call us to kind of get the wheel going.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we have 10 minutes left. Do you want to have the revenue discussion? Do you want to start that? That is listed on the work session? Okay.
So ladies and gentlemen, on the agenda it says transportation revenues, but really the discussion is larger than that. It's about what options are out there for the city to increase our revenue streams so that transportation is a particular focus, but to increase our coffers in general. Under separate covers, because I only got it this morning, the MRSC has built a new tax page on their website. It's quite good. It's a pretty good treatment of across the board, special taxes, general taxes, and the means to go about implementing them. For example, Tenino does not currently take advantage of 1/2 of what we could take advantage of. We can levy 2% more than the state does for income tax purpose, for sales tax purposes. We levy half of that. The other half we could levy and either just use those additional funds to augment our general fund, or we could earmark them for whatever programs that you choose. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to run those numbers for you, so I don't have a good idea in my mind what that looks like. But now we've got some more defined paths that we can go down, and if we like that method, great. If we don't like that method, there's other ones out there. Did you want to go any deeper than that, or?
No, I'm trying to find this in the packet. Is it an attachment in here?
No. It was an email that I sent out to all the council members.
Okay, so, yeah. So this came up when we started talking about what I guess would be called setting up transportation benefit district, or doing a small, modest sales tax increase for the benefit of our street fund. But we also wanted to have a greater discussion to explore what exactly, what revenue options we have. I don't know how much time anyone has spent reading this or going over this, but if anyone's prepared to throw some questions at us, anything that they would like us to prepare for the next discussion, any thoughts? Now, go ahead, please.
I would just say if we had some idea, whatever it is, like what would a 1% increase, or what would a, kind of get an idea how much revenue would be generated by, whatever amount you think.
Well, I could I've been working with spreadsheets all day, I can do a quick computation and maybe, get us in the ballpark.
I can't imagine that it's gonna, for road money, we're not gonna generate millions of dollars, but it might give us seed money, or it might give us the ability
Matching
to,
funds.
provide some additional staff time to working on sidewalks or matching funds.
See, that would be the important part for me. If we're just collecting, money, but we really don't have a solid purpose for it besides throwing it into the general fund and hoping that someday we can save enough to fix a road, that's not such a good path to go down. But if there are targeted spots that we legitimately can go after for grant money and that type of stuff, so that in a couple of years, we can build that up as the matching fund, that would make a lot more sense. Also, as far as...
Unless we just say the general fund is weak, it's anemic, and it needs more,
You're gonna have to prove that. Just because you say it, isn't gonna make everybody in the city real happy about increasing taxes. I'm not happy about increasing taxes. We got the state that's slamming down, and Linda can explain how much taxes are being slammed down our throats better than I can. When you start going down that road, unless you're fire in schools, good luck. You have the fire departments and schools have a much easier time getting a tax passed than a city can. You want to increase the sales tax, what are you gonna do with it? Is it gonna sunset? Blah, 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 blah. There's a whole lot of things that need to be answered, okay? And I'm not real big on saying, on the transportation benefit districts, because it's just the five of us sitting up here saying, oh, guess what? And I believe it's up to $40 that we can tack onto somebody's license plate.
well, we've talked, the only thing we've talked about is sales tax.
No, we've talked about a
Well,
little bit about
not
the
this
benefit
council.
district. Yeah, you just brought it up, that's why I remembered it.
No, well, there's two different ways, to go about it. One is through the car tab fees.
Yeah, that's.
And the
that's
other
the
is through,
transportation benefit district.
the other is through like a 0.02% increase in the sales tax.
Yeah, I
I would
understand.
much rather see the sales tax than any more put on car tabs.
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna run
We
into a
have
lot of
the
problems.
lowest sales tax in the county, I
Yes,
believe.
we
It's,
do.
I know.
it's like $2-3 below.
You're looking at a person that made that happen.
Well, really, well, how
Yes.
come you didn't make it higher?
I
7.9 is ridiculous.
I was the one that kept a bunch of the taxes that North County wanted to put all throughout the entire county. I kept them out of Tenino. Because they did my homework and.
Because that would have benefited them and not us. Is
That's
that
right,
it?
yeah,
Well, this won't benefit them. This will benefit
yeah.
us.
I mean, I do like the idea of having a targeted use for them.
Oh, I do too.
I think it's good
Yes,
to do it.
absolutely.
We're gonna move to the bottom of it. I think it's a lot easier
And
for
it's
people to
needed.
say yes if they know this
For
is
the
what's going on.
streets and the sidewalks,
Yeah.
it's needed.
It is.
We have no street money.
No.
I know. Well, we've got a little bit for potholes in the wintertime.
Yeah.
That's it. I know what we have, I know what we don't have. Unless there's other forms of grant money that small cities can tap into for streets and sidewalks.
I don't think.
There are, but those are like project-based things. That still doesn't help your bottom line in the street fund year in, year out.
Yeah, I understand, again, I understand
I
that.
think we need a steady income coming in for that kind of thing, not saying, well, we can go out and get a grant. I don't think.
No, the reason that I say grant is because even at 2%, if we bump our sales tax up to what the rest of Thurston County is, you might be looking at about $150,000 a year. That's not a whole heck of a lot of money.
I think we're even proposing that much. What is it?
We don't know.
I said if we bumped it up so that we're back up to what the rest of Thurston County is, with the ability to keep that money here, and you know some of it gets skimmed off because it all goes up to the county first and then they send it back to us, so we lose some of it that way. But if we were able to do that, we're still only looking about 150,000. Granted, it may be coming in every year, but you still need to use that money to offset and go after grants that we possibly can.
And that's fine. That's, but it still needs to be a dedicated fund.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right. Excellent discussion. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna close the work session, and then in about 30 seconds, we'll open our regular meeting.
Maybe we can import the asphalt.
Yeah.
It's duty free.
Thank you so much.
Good seeing you.
John, we'll take it.
See you, Jenny.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
We still need to get the director down here.
John?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've met her, but she hasn't come down yet.
7.
How much you want to grade out?
Oh, hang on.
Wait a minute.
$727.27, something like that.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to write a check.
727.
Who you making up?
City.
COT. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the September 10th, 2019 Tenino City Council meeting. Let the record show that all council members are present. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Over the agenda. Second.
We have a second to approve the agenda, a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Minutes for August 27, 2019.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes.
Move approval of the consent calendar. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendars for vouchers number 28515 through 28559 in the amount of $59,109.37 and EFTs in the amount of $58,656.73 for a total of $117,766.10, as well as a liquor license for Tenino Farmers Market special event. And I've already signed, and a renewal for Tenino Eagles. I've already signed a letter saying we would not be protesting the farmers market. They've got it on a rush timeline for their 22nd dinner. So is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to the fact that it's John O'Callahan's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday, John.
John. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, wait a minute. Turn on the microphones.
And then I thought these were cool. So whenever somebody's selling like Tenino merch, I try to buy some. So Hedges is selling these cool Tenino postcards. Also, Dave's Marketplace, or what is it now? Market Fresh IGA. They're selling some nice new Tenino t-shirts and other swag. If you guys are in there, buy some.
It's cool, the very first one.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty sweet. That brings us to presentations. I just want to get that out there before I forgot. So we have a donation by Edward Jones. And you are, sir, Mr. Chris Howlett. Please come forward.
Thank you guys for getting the bench. We're glad to be part of it.
Oh, I think we need to go up there and stand and.
Wanna reenact that?
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
I'll hold one hand.
They repost the guys putting up the flag at IUOG myself.
Thank you.
So Mr. Chris Hallett, on behalf of Edward Jones, did you have anything you want to say?
Nope, thank
On behalf of Edward Jones Investments, will present the council with a donation in the amount of $727.27 for the purpose of providing a park bench for installation along Olympia Street South in support of the Tenino Farmers Market. Is there a motion to accept the donation?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to accept the donation. Any discussion?
Thank you very much.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr., you said it's Hallett? Halleck? Chris Halleck?
Did they spell it right?
Is there a K in there?
One L.
One L. That brings us to public comments. We have no one signed up. That brings us to public hearing. At the request of TCOM 911, the City Council desires to adopt Resolution 2019-07 in support of Thurston County Proposition 1, a proposition authorizing the county to impose an addition. Well, you guys keep them. Authorizing the county to impose an additional they were 25 cents. 0.1% sales and use tax to increase the emergency communications sales use tax from 0.1% to 0.2%. The public hearing is, I already read that. Everyone present will be given an opportunity to be heard. The clerk will be recording what is said. Therefore, when you address the council, please begin by stating your name and address. Before hearing from the audience, I'm going to introduce Mr. John Millard, the city's clerk treasurer, to present information about this project. Mr. John Millard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, the background behind this is that TCOM 911 would like your support, along with the other cities of the county, going forward to ask the voters of the county for an increase in taxes so that we can buy a new emergency communication system. So this is a pro forma thing. In order for us to legally adopt such a resolution, it has to be brought to the public's attention that we are in fact supporting this, that we are in fact supporting an increase in the property taxes. And this is an opportunity for anybody in the public that has reservations about that to voice them, and then you can vote on it.
Sales tax, not property.
Oh, sorry, sales and use tax. Big part.
At this time, the floor is open for comments from the audience. In fairness to all in attendance, each person will be given an opportunity to address the council for an initial period not to exceed 3 minutes. If more time is needed, it will be made available after everyone has had a chance to speak. I am requesting council members to hold their questions of the public until everyone is done. Is there anyone in the public that would like to provide comment? You can come up as a member of the public.
I've been called a lot of things I've never been called.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Robert Swain, your city police chief. So the communication system for the entire county is antiquated. And because of that, if there is a significant emergency in the county, I fear we will not be able to respond as needed. And so it is great news to me that you're willing to support this resolution. And bottom line is everybody's going to benefit throughout the county with new radios and having the ability to talk to each other, which we kind of don't have right now and we need. I just got the schools done so that the schools can talk to us directly on their radios, and I would like to see that happen throughout the county when it comes to emergency management. So there's my 2 cents worth.
Thanks, sir.
you.
So what you're saying is you have a bias? No.
Is there anyone else in the public who would like to provide comment? Are there any council members? Do you have any questions of the audience or the staff? Any comments?
I have some comments,
Go
or
ahead.
any questions. I would just reiterate what the chief said, working in the Thurston County system, this system has been bad for almost as long as I was in the fire service. You couldn't, sometimes on calls, we couldn't even talk to each other on the scene because of the way these radios work. And it's critical to our responders, and it's critical to our citizens to be able to communicate well. Another thing I think that's important to understand is when we had the economic downturn, to keep 911 system going, they used a lot of their reserves that they had in place then to keep the system funded. And so they ate up a lot of those reserves that they had in place. So although I'd like to think that they could start putting money away for the next system 40 years down the road, in this case, I think they spent a lot of that money that could have been partially used for that to keep things going during that time period. So I think it's an important thing for our citizens and our responders, so I'm supportive of this adoption.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just a little history. This is quick. The last time that there was any upgrade to Thurston County emergency management communication equipment, I believe it was 2002, 2003, something like that. So we're looking 17, 18 years ago.
All right.
Technology has changed a lot since then.
Thank you. I will close the public testimony of this hearing is now closed. Moving on from public hearing, we go to old business. Gibbs & Olson has provided a proposed scope of work to perform the architectural assessment of the Quarry House as the first step towards renovation.
Move approval to have the mayor sign the scope of work.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign the scope of work with Gibbs & Olson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. New business. City clerk. The clerk of the municipal court broke a foot and must stay completely off it for the next few weeks and will have work restrictions after that time. While this will not cause an economic hardship for the employee, it puts the city in a tremendous bind because City Hall has lost 1/3 of its workforce. In addition to the clerk functions, this employee also performs accounts receivable, accounts payable, and numerous other miscellaneous functions. This would not normally be a problem, however, as the city is currently undergoing an audit, the city clerk treasurer is unable to backstop the injured employee. Therefore, the administration is requesting funding for a temporary employee for a term of 4 weeks in order to keep accounts receivable and accounts payable current, as well as to backstop the 2 full-time employees as required.
Move approval.
Second.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
It has been moved and seconded to authorize the hiring of a temporary employee for a period of 4 weeks and in an amount not to exceed $4,500. Is there any discussion?
That's where's the money coming out of? What fund? And do you already have somebody in mind?
Yes.
That person.
Volunteer Judy Kreider.
That's what I thought.
So she was in there working today.
Is that benefits and
What was the amount, please?
salary?
Excuse me?
What was the amount?
4,500.
Okay, because it's a temporary employee, we don't have to back the benefits.
That's all I need to know.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you for agreeing to that, that's gonna be helpful. And Rhonda's doing okay. I've talked to her, she's a little shy about it, but she had she was like stepping into a swimming pool and she stepped wrong.
Oh,
Resolutions. At the request of TCOM 911, the City Council desires to adopt Resolution 2019-017 in support of Thurston County Proposition Number 1, a proposition authorizing the county to impose an additional 1/10% sales and use tax to increase the emergency communications sales and use tax from 1/10% to 2/10%.
The motion to approve.
Is that?
It has been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2019-07. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll get that out to TCOM. Next up, Chamber of Commerce. They meet next week. EDC, no presentation. VCB, Fire District Library, Museum.
Nothing.
Okay, Civil Service Commission, you have not met, am I correct? Yeah, I'm gonna keep
He's too
going.
busy on his phone.
Planning Commission.
Hey, last,
Nothing from the civil service.
there's nothing, so.
Thanks. Planning Commission.
So I'll step in as their liaison. They are not going to meet tomorrow night, they're going to meet next Wednesday night for scheduling issues. And they're working with our contracted planner, Dan Penrose. They're doing three major things. One, they're embarking upon a training program for refresher purposes for Chair Rutherford, but for everybody else it will be a new experience. Just, you know, what does it mean to be a planner? So Dan's gonna run them through Planning 101. And then the second main thing they're doing is they're still working really hard on their work program. Rather than focus on our ordinances and things like that, they really want to work on planning things. They want to work on our comp plan, on some of the, you know, the structural work in our comp plan. What is it, you know, what is the vision that they want to articulate within that comp plan, and of course you will have to approve it. And then the third thing that they want to do is look at how Tenino is going to grow over the next 10 to 15 years. What does that mean to our UGA? What does that mean to our city limits? What does that mean to our zoning code? So they're actually getting pretty ambitious, and I'm excited to see where they're going to take it.
Yes, sir.
The class that you're talking about, because we have somebody that's interested in filling the upcoming vacant seat, is that going to, will that person be able to take the class, or is that going to be after that person is sworn in, if that's the person, or whoever gets sworn in?
After they would become a member.
Yeah, I understand, but what I'm asking about is the class. Are we going to be able to get that seat filled before the class?
I don't think they have like a you know, scheduled class. Dan is going to you know, pick a planning topic every planning meeting, and then they'll, you know, they'll discuss it.
It's an ongoing type thing.
Yeah, so it's
There is a class the AWC puts on every year for planners that we make available to anybody, any of you as
quarterly.
well. It's a quarterly.
Yeah, it's quarterly.
So there's plenty of opportunities to do that class as well. Facade Improvement Grant Review Committee.
Well, Elizabeth Jack has been approved as soon as she turns in some receipts. And Chris Hallett just presented a check for $727.27 for one of the benches that's gonna go up against the building.
Excellent.
And the Tenino Farmers Market is purchasing the other one through the grant.
Excellent. Thank you. Chief of Police, your report, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Robert Swain, your City Police Chief. Couple of things, our applications are coming in fast and furious for the next Citizens Academy to begin in October. We still have several slots available, so we've got the word out through social media, and we're hoping for a pretty good sizable class. We're gonna do Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening from 6 to about 8, maybe 8:30, and then a couple of Saturdays so we can do some range time and some other things that we have planned. John Steins is the director who will run the show on that, so we're excited about that. Got my truck today, so I want to say thank you to all of you. It's a very, very, very nice truck, and I'm going to try to keep it that way. The mayor came over and took a look at it, and I think he'll say it's a pretty nice truck too.
It looks brand new.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
And we'll be sending it to get it marked and everything, and hopefully we'll have it back by, hope to have it back by homecoming. It'd be a nice vehicle to put in with the other nice vehicles. So again, thank you for that. And we've got a couple of other things that we're looking at as far as grants right now. I am still actively looking for a way to get scales, portable scales. And I'm still trying to think outside the box to get that done. I've contacted traffic safety with the state, and I've contacted a couple of other people, but I'm really chasing after it. So I'll report back to you when I figure out a grant that will suffice for us. I also want to get a couple more speed signs. Troy and I were talking. I actually would like to get the trailer so that we can move it throughout the city wherever we'd like to have it. The stationary sign is great and it works good, but a trailer, putting it where we want it, I think makes better sense. And so I may be, I'm gonna be looking at trying to get a trailer. We had one in Tulsa and it worked out very well. Other than that, you met our new officer. We're very excited to have him. Our female officer, Sam Garcia, she'll be back from the academy. She graduates October 7th. So we hope to have her back that week, and excited to have her back with us. And then we'll be up to full staff again. And it worked out great this time that we had some planning and some strategy behind how we were going to fill the 2 openings that we got. So that worked out very well for us. School started again. We've already been to the middle school for a fight. Just to report out on that. It was a classic, if I can use that word, it was a classic, I don't like what you're saying about me and take it back kind of thing, and then it rose to the level of fighting. And so we have all of the people involved with that, and we'll be sending that to the prosecuting attorney's office for review. And then I got the call of the big fight at a landing or some sort of area over in the park or up on the hill behind the park. I have not been up there myself, but my guys tell me that there is an area up there where the kids go, and we're going to be monitoring that, because there was but when I pulled up into the park over there, about 20 kids came down from the hill and took off running every which way. And
there was a spot like back on the tree line where they were like making YouTube. This is years ago, a few years ago. They were making YouTube videos of fighting back.
Is that up behind the pool, or where was it?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Where the stack of rocks are,
Yeah.
out there, you see like old stairs that go up.
How do you know about this?
She goes and fights.
You don't talk about Fight Club. You never watch YouTube?
For those
Fight Club.
that have been in
You did
Tenino
know
for a long
somebody.
time, help your old chief out here and
Somebody told her.
to find this place. You know, besides the one-off dump road that we're getting ready to handle, I'm gonna have our guys check this area up behind the rocks, wherever that is.
It's right next to the quarry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if they come running down off the hill, that's fine. I just don't want like a fight club to start or something like that up there, so. Other than that, we've been very quiet, and knock on wood, there hasn't been a whole lot going on. So with that, I'm happy to take your questions if you have any. Yes, sir.
What do you know about the person that's driving around shooting out car windows of BBs?
So,
All over Facebook.
yeah.
And I reposted what you put out.
Yeah, so we're still working on that, but I will tell you that the best way we're gonna find out who that is to throw money out there. And so I've contacted Crime Stoppers, and they're reviewing the case right now to see if they were willing to take it on and offer some money, which I think they will, because we had 3 cases of it that were reported. And I don't know if there's any unreported ones. I'm sure there probably is. But at this point, the best we have is a little red Civic with all black wheels, either a 4-door or a 2-door. And we don't know who's driving or who's in the vehicle. It was said that could be an airsoft type rifle or pistol sound that came from this car as it drove by. But that's it, that's all we have right now. So I'm hoping that somebody will come forward and give us some kind of information to work with, but right now we don't have anything.
Thank you.
Here in the next few weeks, do you want to get together and go over the ordinance about semi-truck parking?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, we can do that.
I'd love to do that.
So your hands aren't tied?
Yeah. The mayor and I, and John actually, were discussing now, the ordinances, quite frankly, for the city need to be updated. And they need to be done so that we can write, if necessary, we could take enforcement action. As it stands right now, there's some ordinances that aren't in our system that we can't take enforcement action on. And so that needs updating. Another area that we've identified that needs updating, and thanks to John, he really helped us out in identifying this, was the dog ordinances. There's no process in there for what to do if there's a dog fight. And since we don't have a contract right now with the Animal Services for Thurston County, they will not respond. And so they leave it up to us to take care of it.
Yeah, that's what I gathered here about a month and a half ago with the bulldog next door to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I know
and-
Dave Defoe used to go pick any strays up that if he reported, I called Dave.
And the problem is that we don't, first of all, we don't really have a place to keep them. And, you know,
Troy's house.
well, yeah, I bet, he probably has room. Yeah. But that's a whole, you know, the whole canine thing is a totally different science on its own. And you have to know what you're doing, otherwise you're gonna end up, you know, it'll be a safety issue for us,
okay.
so.
Alright. Anything else? Are you leaving right after this? Because I want to talk to you behind closed doors.
No, I can stay,
Okay.
yeah, so.
Do you still, I have just one question. Do you still have plans to have an officer kind of stay present in the school during class time to kind
So
of
I,
just patrol?
so Joe and I have talked about it, and, you know, they're giving us, I believe it's, help me out, John, it's 20,000 for the school, for the school thing, is that what it is,
Yes.
20,000? So, Joe and I have talked about, and what would be good, I have the information needed to take to the school board and show them that we have enough activity at all 4 schools that warrants a full-time officer. We actually need a school resource officer. Unfortunately, I think I have some more convincing to do with Joe to get him on board, so him and I can go together at council. But that's my plan. At some point, is to get a full-time officer dedicated, and Officer Thornburg, he has all the school resource officer training, he's currently certified, and that's what he did from where he came from in Colorado. So we already have the officer here.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, we need an extra body so that, again, we're not taking the school resource officer away from the schools on calls. And so it would be my intention to make sure that we have a separate position, separate body. And that's I get it, it's gonna take some doing, but I think we can get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
DPW.
Trouble. Please.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Good. I think you guys have some report in front of you. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the water again. The wells produced, for August was, 7 million, almost 7,700,000 gallons. In 2019 this year. In 2018, we produced 9,213,000 gallons. So it's a good difference again. We're cutting back on our water usage quite a bit. Again, we plan on doing more, what we can to save on our water. To me, that's really important. So that's what we're striving for. We put out there, if you see leaks, please contact us. You know, whatever it is. We were back in the trailer park a couple days ago, a couple leaks. So yeah, we got we're on it. We're fixing water, man. We got to go after the water. We're still replacing some meters. We're doing some routine maintenance in the well. Last week, kind of scraping and painting pipe.
That's a huge difference in water.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's huge.
So, yeah.
And if you go back even farther, Wayne, from 2017, 16, 15, we are still way under from those times.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So our water consumption in the last year dropped 1.5 million gallons in the month of August.
Yes. Correct. And I don't remember what it was for last month too, but last month we dropped
Almost the same.
2 or something like that. So at the end of the year, we're saving a crap ton of water.
Yeah.
You know, so our ERUs will go way up.
Leaks and everything, you're still not using, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a lot of it, is the repair of
Yeah.
leaks,
Yeah.
yeah. Taking better care of the water
Exactly,
system.
routine maintenance that we're doing more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's awesome actually, and
Yeah.
you really think about it. And most cities, I mean, I've heard through grapevine that most cities right now are at 10 to 20% loss. And I'm like, whoa, man, I don't even like to be at 7. I'd like to see us down at 5, because last year we were at 8.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the goal would be 5% loss, you know, and that would be awesome to set those standards for other cities too. So like I said, we were doing some routine maintenance in there, and our 8-inch line that comes out through the concrete floor in the well, the lower well, we noticed was getting a little rotten. So we actually have that well shut down right now, doing the repairs on that. We had to cut out the concrete and we're in the process of replacing that line. Kind of more mature, but we'll get it and get that fixed. The wastewater treatment plant, again, there's no major problems going on out there. Everything's running fine. Flows are what they are. They're about the same every month. Other than that, Jason is still flushing the sewer lines. We have 60 total flushing connections in our system throughout the city, and so he has done 20 so far. It's kind of a slow process. We're flushing 1,500 gallons into each flushing connection, and so that takes a little bit of time. And so, and we,
Fire truck is actually.
yeah, the old fire truck. And so we kind of been neglecting that, so that's why it's taking a little longer. We should be on a routine doing so much a year, so we're not doing all in 1 year. So, and so we'll be getting that scheduled back to where we're doing so much a year from there on. Other than that, I don't have nothing else for you guys, unless you guys got some questions for me.
The pool, you did some changes with the filters this year.
Yes, we did, yep.
And that had an effect.
That had an effect on the water usage, dramatic effect. In the past, we would have to drain and clean the pool at least 3 times a year. I think we only drained it a little bit this year, not even a quarter of the way, because those filters were doing such a
And that's something like
great job.
3 million gallons every time.
Yeah, 3 million gallons every time. That's why we're saving that 1.5 million was from not draining the pool.
Oh.
Yeah, and then even the last month of July was the same thing. So those filters really did a good job this year. They should have been done a long time ago. The next thing is, we do have a little bit of a water leak under the concrete that popped up this year that we'll have to fix before next year, but we'll just have to get that done. But if we get that water leak on that water usage will go down tremendously, because we shut it off every night at the actual gate valve. behind Corey House, we had to shut it off every night. If not, it just ran constantly, poured out of the goddamn concrete. So every night we had to go in there, turn it on, and turn it back on in the morning. So, but nothing we can do about it during the season. We had to wait to fix it.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything else? No. Okay.
All right, thank you,
Thanks.
sir.
Yep.
That brings us to City Clerk Treasurer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In your packet, what I would like to spend more time on than my report is the status report from the audit team that we got this morning. They plan on being here until the 13th of September. They're on track to, that looks like a good date. They think they're not going to have to extend it. Things are going a little smoother this year than they have in past years. The trends that they've identified with respect to our management is, I mean, the only thing they can gripe about is that our method of cost allocation is slightly off. The rationale for that is very easy. This year I spent a little less time in the utilities area than I've spent in getting prepared for council, for example. It's one of those things that, you know, we're trying to guess at it a year in advance, and if it's, I mean, we busted it by $125 out of a $7 million budget. I think that's okay. Could we do better? Absolutely. I'm not saying we can't do better. I'm just saying that if that's the worst they can find, we're doing all right. They have, at our request, they're taking a detailed look at our 7K schedule, which is the schedule that our police officers labor under.